Yo, what up guys? So today we're going to be talking about the PlayStation 5 once again, specifically about a new commercial that came out for the PlayStation 5 Dualsense controller. And here we're going to be reading the blog post that PlayStation put about it because it has a lot of cool information and new features that specifically talks about how it's going to be in the game. So if you guys were wondering how exactly the Dualsense controller is going to work, this is the best we're going to get right now until we can actually get the console ourselves. So here they're just kind of talking about the new ad that they released worldwide for the PlayStation DualSense controller and the features. So this is pretty cool. That means shit is getting closer to release. So let's just get to it. So they just have a little intro here talking about describing what's in the trailer. Anyways, let's just get right into it. I'm not gonna cover every single game that they detail here. I'm gonna cover the more exciting games and the ones with the most interesting features that they outline. So let's start with Spider-Man Miles Morales, which should be coming out at launch. And here the description that they put is: the haptic feedback precision allows us to do all sorts of new things. In Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, we'll be hinting to players which direction attacks are coming from by providing haptic feedback from the appropriate direction on the DualSense wireless controller. What does it feel like to use Miles' stealth ability? How does a Venom blast feel? Because of the high resolution of the DualSense wireless controller's haptic system, we can really push the dimensionality of the feedback. For instance, as you hold down square to do a Venom punch, you feel Spider-Man's bioelectricity crackle across the left side of the controller, culminating in the right side on impact. And this was by the creative director of the game, and that just sounds freaking awesome. Like, you can basically feel every single little thing you do in the game, and that's just like, to me, it gets me really excited. It's not just like the same old play the game, press this button with the controller. Like, it's not just a pad that you hold and you press buttons on. Like, this is something that you're gonna feel the game on. And a lot of the times, like, people don't even like to use the rumble feature because, it's just like loud vibration on your hands and doesn't really do much. But like, this seems to take it to the next level where you can actually feel things in the game. And I don't think turning it off, like, assuming you can, it's gonna be like something a lot of people do if it's as awesome as they're describing it. So yeah, like, I'm definitely looking forward to this. The next game is Deathloop. This game is a first-person shooter. It did get delayed, unfortunately, but here the description reads: this one is unique, so pay attention please. I'm really excited by the adaptive triggers and the haptic feedback. Both features will bring some physicality, in-game experiences, and give important feedback. Deathloop being a first-person shooter, we do a lot of things to make weapons feel differently from one another. One I like is blocking triggers when the weapon jams to give the player an immediate feedback even before the animation plays out, which prompts the player in a physical way that they have to unjam their gun. And this was again described by the game director. So it's just awesome, man. Like, I think that's like the kind of stuff that I want to see in next generation. Like, some people are complaining that, I can't use my PS4 controller on the PS5 games. So like what do you expect? This is a new console. This has been always a thing, and this not only like is a DualSense feature. This is like part of the game. Like, this is a game mechanic that is designed for the new controller and to like make it cooler and just have a new experience. I don't know, I'm fine with dropping the PS4 controller for this. Like, it's a new generation, and we've had enough time to like use a PS4 controller and whatever. Moving on to Demon's Souls, which is the other game. We have some other games here but I just feel like there's some games that have better descriptions of what the controller can actually do. So here in Demon's Souls, what it says is: with the DualSense wireless controller and the power of haptics, we can make the combat in Demon's Souls feel grittier, darker, and deadlier. Now you feel every blow as you strike down your enemies and cast each spell. You'll experience the force of a titanic boss's attack as you pull off a well-trained guard. Metal strikes metal when your foes block your attacks and you block theirs. That extra sensory feedback through the controller allows you to know your attack hit home and your perfectly timed parry was a success, so you can react faster and more decisively. So yeah, like, that's just great. Like, you can basically feel everything in every game as you do them. Like, that's what gets me excited. And then they also continue to say, we can also turn the simple act of pulling a lever to open a gate into a sensory experience. This is something that Rumble could never do. It could never replicate the feeling of metal striking metal or fire crackling in your hand as you conjure magic. Haptics are integral to the experience, to immersing the players in the world and adding to the gameplay. The visual, oral, and tactile working together takes a new generation of gaming into the future. And again, it's always the game director explaining it, so of course. But yeah, like, man, I don't know about you, but like when I'm playing like a Souls game, I want to feel when that sword just like goes into the flesh and just destroys them, because sometimes I'm just so frustrated after like the 50th try, and like being able to feel that on the new controller is just gonna be amazing. Yeah, like I'm looking forward to him, and I really hope they're not just overselling this. I just hope the experience actually feels like they're describing it here, because you know, if it doesn't, like if it's just gimmicky and nobody really cares and people just turn it off every time, then I can understand how, like, you know, a PS4 controller not working wouldn't make sense. But these features really seem like they're changing the game, and they're adding a lot of genuinely cool stuff, at least in my eyes. Like, some people just look at this shit and they go like, I'm not interested, I don't even want to try it. And to me, like, I mean, I don't think being that close-minded, one is that like I don't know, you have to be more open-minded to try things, and to me this just sounds cool. So hopefully, like, I actually feel like when I hit metal and like a boss or something, you know what I mean? Like, I want to feel all of that, and that sounds awesome. So I'll definitely keep my hopes up regarding that. Hopefully the Dualsense controller does not disappoint and we see more games do cool stuff like that. But going to the next game, which is Ratchet and Clank, they also have a really cool mechanic that can only be done on the Dualsense controller. So yeah, the description reads, the adaptive triggers are something we're excited to feature in Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. For instance, the Enforcer is a dual barrel shotgun type weapon. As you pull the trigger, you'll fire from one barrel and you can feel the resistance around halfway down the trigger. Need a bigger blast? Pull the trigger through that resistance point and you'll fire both barrels at the same time. And yeah, that's legit a mechanic that you just cannot have on a DualShock 4 controller. And it's essentially adding like a new sort of like input to the trigger controllers, because now not only do you press the trigger and like feel that resistance, but you can push through that resistance and then get an additional blast through the shotgun. So that's pretty cool. On the DualShock 4 controller, the only input you get is just pressing down the trigger, and that's obviously not going to work in this game. So like they'll either have to take that feature entirely off or like find some other weird way to like integrate it. But clearly, like, I understand why the DualShock 4 controller is just not going to work for these PS5 games. So yeah, like I don't really get that argument that people have about, you know, needing the PS4 controller on PS5 games. Like, I think it's enough that Sony already did the PS4 controller on PS5 for PS4 games through backwards compatibility, but I don't think anything else is needed. Like, I think that's enough because of these features. And I know like the reason why people bring it up is because Xbox is doing that with the Xbox One, but the reason why is because essentially they have the same controller again, and I know the Xbox controller is really comfortable. Many people love it, and I'm not gonna lie, I like it myself too. But the problem with that is that they didn't even like change anything. Like, I don't know, like a new generation should have new features that are cool. I guess some people don't care about these quote unquote gimmicky stuff to them, but I mean, like, it's just not as exciting. Like, this thing genuinely has cool stuff I'm interested in, and it justifies, in my opinion, you know, leaving the old controller behind, because this is new stuff and the old controller just can't do it. So yeah, I mean, like, I'd rather have a new controller with all these features than essentially the same controller that we had. And you know, it's using that old ass rumble feature from like ever since the PS2. That was the thing, where like the spinning little motor inside that doesn't really feel all that. Like, a lot of people turn that thing off because it's just like loud vibration and that's it. Like, haptics actually like add more to it. But anyways, I'm done ranting about it. That's just my opinion on it. But let's go on to the last game that I wanted to detail in this video, and it's Gran Turismo, the only racing game that we have to talk about here. But I think racing games can also use it interestingly. So it says, I think the most effective use of the adaptive trigger in Gran Turismo 7 is for representing the operation of the anti-lock brake system, or ABS, while braking. A typical ABS releases brake pressure intermittently while the driver applies pressure to the pedal. The adaptive trigger is suited for recreating this pedal feel, and it will allow the player to accurately feel and understand the relationship between the braking force they want and the tire's grip. Compared to the rumble force feedback we had in the past, the special character in the haptic feedback is that it has a bigger range of frequencies it can produce. So essentially, you can feel detailed like stuff in the controller, like driving on mud or driving on asphalt. What this means is that sound design, tactile design can be handled in a continuous integrated manner. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, I mean, like, you guys let me know what you guys think about these DualSense features, and if you guys are actually interested in them. You guys can feel free to disagree, agree, but just share your thoughts in the comments. I encourage all of you to share your thoughts in the comments down below to see if you guys are actually excited about these new features, or you guys just don't really care about them. Obviously, if you guys also like the video, make sure to leave a like. It really helps out the channel, and I'm trying to do this full-time someday, so that'll really help out. And subscribe so you guys can keep seeing more videos in the future. But anyways, that has been it. Thank you guys, and peace.